Of ships, homecomings are special affairs, and for the people of Lunenburg, it was a special homecoming many thought they'd never see. Bruce Dorton has that story.
Captain Bligh worked the ship for every furlong of gain it could give.
She sailed the high seas in the title role of one of Hollywood's all-time classic movies, Mutiny on the Bounty. This replica of the original Bounty was built just for the movie. And little did anyone guess, years later, the Bounty would come back to its place of birth to such fanfare.
I told him.
This is the Scotia Trawler Shipyard in Lunenburg. It was here 26 years ago at the then Smith & Rulin shipyard that the Bounty was built and launched. As a matter of fact, she was built in and launched from this building right here. It was August 27th, 1960, and over 10,000 people gathered to watch the launch. Today, for the first time in 26 years, the Bounty came home.
There are only about 6 people still alive who helped build the Bounty. Among them, Lunenburg town blacksmith Vernon Walters.
I'm very pleased to have the Bounty come back to Lunenburg. It's 26 years ago, as you said, since I worked on the Bounty. I always wanted to visit the Bounty exhibit at St. Petersburg, Florida, but I never got there. The Bounty has come to me, apparently.
For Ernie Rulin, who was a foreman working on the vessel's construction, the Bounty was just another boat. But that was 26 years ago. On this day, he, like so many others, is anxiously awaiting its arrival.
I didn't think I'd ever see it anymore, so I knew I wasn't going to go to Florida to just see the Bounty.
And when she's spotted on the horizon, Ernie simply says, she looks good. But downtown at Government Wharf, the crowd is beginning to grow, and before the day would end, it would number well over 1,000. As the vessel finally pulled near the dock, the crowd cheered, and many were heard to say, "Welcome home, Bounty." And when the last line was tied and the vessel secured, the spectators began to line up for a first-hand glimpse at this piece of history. On board, the captain greeted some of the first arrivals. But the question on many minds was how, after all these years, did the Bounty finally manage to come home?
The new owners have plans to take her up to the Great Lakes, and they asked me if I knew a place along the coast where we might come for fuel and water and supplies, and I told them I knew just the place, Lunenburg, where she was built, and that's what brings us here.
Among the spectators was Keith Crook, who was one of the Bounty's original crew members, and he sailed on its first voyage to Tahiti.
It was tiresome first, but at last, know what I mean, but it brings back a lot of memories, I'll tell you.
Over the years, hundreds, perhaps thousands of ships have sailed in and out of Lunenburg Harbor, but few, if any, have received the welcome of the Bounty. And despite the fact she's only here for a short visit, it's still to many residents here a friend who has come home. In Lunenburg, Bruce Dorton, ATV News.
Indeed, a truly beautiful ship. Time for the forecast now, and here's Laura Lee.